Good. Yeah. It's, getting in, in the meat of it now, where guys are bumped up, bruised up. It's a little harder to respond. I thought we got a lot done. Had a pretty good spirited finish there. A little bit of competition with the threes on the threes. They were really the newcomers on the newcomers. So it was pretty nice to close out that way.
Hurry up, Nate. Can you talk about Matt Brown? Except for the Paul Hornets award, he's a guy that's little guys. He always finds a way to get it done in terms of yardage and that sort of thing.
Matt's a hard worker that really likes football. I mean, what I can say is he loves ball and he loves to compete. And those are the strengths right there of Matt Brown, for sure, no doubt about it. And he has ability, and he has to learn how to, he has to learn how to contain himself a little bit at times. But his ability, his competitiveness, his toughness, his passion for the game is what makes him a hell of a player.
Yeah, that size, 5'5". I mean, you've been in this coaching business a long time. You've never seen any major divisions.
He's a hell of a player. Just a hell of a player. So he's certainly a guy that he'll make his mark this year for sure.
You talk about Levi Brown. He's one of the top, defensive tackles in the conference. Can you just say what separates him from other D tackles out there?
I think that Levi's really picked up this fall. I thought in the spring we felt like he could have brought more. But he certainly had a good start to preseason camp right now. He's playing physical, playing hard, really running to the football. I like the way he looks right now. His start has been very, very good.
Temple returning to the Big East. How's it feel being a coach and making this comeback?
Well, I mean, I think as a competitor, whether you're a coach or a player, you love challenges. This is a great challenge for us. It's where we belong, and now in front of us is the reality that we have to make this happen. We didn't have a running start into it, but yet in the same breath, we've been preparing for this moment for a number of years, not just wake up one day and decide we're going to play in the Big East. So, we're excited for it and looking forward to the opportunity.
And the fans have a big part in that. So, any message to the fans coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm glad you asked me that. The message is that Philadelphia is one of the great sports cities in America. They love football. Come out and support the Temple Owls. You've got a major college football program right here. We don't need to hear about other schools in Pennsylvania. We just need to talk about Temple right now. If you're a real Philadelphia person, get behind this football program and let's make that link an electric atmosphere that we're all proud of.
Stephen, tell us a story on Whittingham and Newman. How are those guys going to do games?
I mean, I think Witt's improving. He's last year I think he was a little bit lost in the sauce, just kind of not confident, making a lot of mistakes. He's making less mistakes now. He's a little bit more sense of what's going on. So he's had a pretty good start, Jamin Newman's still trying to, become solid, assignment solid, and he's got to, work away from these bangs and bruises and nicks and kind of take that next step. So that's what this camp is about for him.
Is there a next guy, that sixth guy, that offensive lineman where that's really made some progress? Maybe a guy who's versatile could step in a bunch of different positions for you?
I don't know who that is just yet, but there's a few guys trying to be that, but I'm not ready to say that one yet. That's not clear.
What about the middle linebacker, Nate Smith?
I kind of want to see today a little bit. We didn't tackle today. We thudded today, high, kind of like high thud tackle. I've noticed him really being all over the field. But I'm so hard in the installation myself right now in terms of how he's doing everyday assignment-wise. I don't have that answer just yet. But what I do see on the field is a guy that's covering the field real well right now, playing with a motor.
You had a guy last year M. Rodriguez, who was a tight end, but could be like an H-back and be kind of versatile for you. Is there a guy that you have this year?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Jalen Fitzpatrick, who's a wide receiver tailback, and Kenny Harper, that's a tailback fullback. Those are our two versatile guys right now that we're really excited about. They're giving us a lot of defense problems right now to defend them because they're, it's not like you put a guy there and say, well, he could do this. They are doing it. Kenny Harper's a legitimate fullback tailback, and Jalen's a legitimate wide receiver tailback.
You mentioned that Vaughn Caraway was having a good camp.
Yep, he is.
Starting to put together. I know you weren't here, but when he came in, he was a pretty highly touted receiver. Things just didn't work out there. In your travels and being a coach, I'm sure you ran across a lot of guys who were really highly recruited. Things didn't work out for them, either one way or the other. How often
often does it happen where a guy says, "All right, I got to play another position," and they kind of get it?
I think it's more got to do with just growing up. You know, you got to get rid of all the nonsense. I call it the noise. Get the noise out of your head and just lock in, grow up. And some of those guys, when they finally do that, they become a good football player. He happens to be at safety right now, and he's doing a heck of a job. But his issues early weren't positional. I believe they were more immaturity, like a lot of guys. And then that's the problem you have with young football players. How long does it take to get them ready to play? You know, well, it has a lot to do with their maturity level.
Talk a little bit about the energy you're feeling in this camp right now. How's the energy?
I like the energy today a lot. At the end of practice, I thought it was a pretty competitive environment. I challenged them the other day because I didn't like it. You know, I thought that they, you know, sometimes what happens is they start treating it like every period of practice is the same. They're not the same. The culmination of offense versus defense at the end is how we try to simulate a game. And you've got to go a little harder. You've got to have a little more energy. You've got to find a way to rally like you do in a game. And that's not, they don't know that. So we have to transition into that. And that's what's happened today a little bit, which was good.
You talking about Shaheed, what he'll do for you this year?
Well, I saw Shaheed yesterday's practice. I really liked what I saw in terms that he was pursuing down the field, making plays down the field, running to the ball. I saw that effort on the tape, and I really liked it, so I thought that was a real positive thing for him. He's got to sustain that.
How Waldo and Custis been? I know they both were pretty honest. They said, you know what, we were held out of the bowl game. We violated team rules. We needed to mature. How have you seen those guys respond to that?
I just talked about, you know, I noticed Paul Hill yesterday. You know, I want to be able to notice Custis, but to me with those guys, it's you know, change is what's sustainable over time. It's not a one-day or a two-day thing. You know, I need to look at that at the end of camp and say, okay, did we sustain maturity? Did we sustain that? That's when I have a better feel for things.
Does it become contagious where you gave Matt a hard line and he responded? Do other guys you think maybe look at that and say, okay, he turned things around, I should too, or does it just depend on
I don't know.
from guy to guy?
It's guy to guy. I don't know. Some guys figure it out, some don't figure it out. You know, it's it's our society as a whole, right? I mean, it doesn't change. I mean, you know, when does it click for you? When you're 22, 32, 42? I don't know. Everybody's different, you know, and you hope it clicks as fast as it can because life's coming at you pretty quickly, you know. On the football field, it's coming at you pretty quickly, and I tell these guys all the time, they're within a couple of years of having to pay to put gas in their car. I mean, the reality of life, you know. Got to pay my rent. Got to put food on the table. Got to put gas in a car. There's no more scholarship. There's no more tutor. You know, it's you got to go. And you got to learn how to. You got to take those next steps. That's all that mentality, you know. And some guys get it earlier than others.
So you break that down to them. Explain that to them.
Oh yeah, it's striking to me when you get to this age right now. You know, you have a guy who's going to be a senior in your program.
Right.
They all think they're going to go play in the NFL. That's terrific. The reality of it is they're going to have to put gas in their car in a year. They're going to have to find a way to pay the rent in a year. You know, are you ready to go into an interview and impress a boss to hire you? Is that going to happen? Where are you in that continuum right now? You know, I promise you this: life ain't slowing down waiting for you now. So, you know, those are the things we talk about all the time. And you know, sometimes in major college sports, I think, you know, there's so much enabling that goes on that you know, you got to find that fine line where, you know, you're trying to help them, but in the same breath, they got to help themselves.
So now, with the way things are nowadays, man, it's different than when I came along, or you came along. Do you find yourself spending more time explaining this to these guys?
Yes. You know, I mean, just look at the whole thing now, you know. You follow recruiting now, like, you know, like Keith does articles on recruiting, John, they do articles on recruiting. Right. What happens is these guys get here, you know, and it's everything's sped up. You know, what used to be in the NFL is now in college, what used to be in college now in high school. Some of these guys come here and they're on ESPN announcing where they're going, they're taking hats off, how many stars do I have? And it's just out of whack. It's out of whack. And then they get here and they say, well, you know, I'm in the fourth day. I mean, how come I'm not getting any reps? Well, because you don't know anything. Okay, you're not ready to get any reps. Right. Okay, but you know, people back home are probably saying, hey, how come you're not starting right now? Well, really? I mean, really? You're 18, 19 years old, 17 years old. I mean, it takes a while, and that's okay. So I just think that, you know, what's happened right now is everything's sped up. And I don't know that that's the most positive thing in the world sometimes. It's unrealistic expectations, and it creates, you know, when guys get down on themselves. And I hate watching that this time of year. Just let it happen, you know.
Steve, you mentioned that you guys are throwing everything kind of fast and furious, and Kevin, it's a lot to learn from the quarterback. Would there ever be a time where you'd say maybe you could switch to another position to say he's such an exceptional athlete, we gotta get him somewhere else?
He's got to learn to play quarterback. He's getting better every day. Get there? Just got it thrown at him. I mean, he just got thrown.